Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, and it's time for my 28 weeks pregnancy update. Though we're pushing it on 29, so kind of cutting it close. I think this is going up on Saturday. Meant to film it on Wednesday when I had my doctor's appointment. Not filming it till Friday, which is today. So my weeks roll over on Tuesdays, so we're cutting this really close. I'll probably just skip doing a 29-week update because this is seriously like going up just a couple of days before that. And honestly, other than the doctor's appointment, there's not like a ton going on. I can't imagine there being a whole bunch of changes between now and Tuesday. So anyways, had my doctor's appointment on Wednesday. And everything's measuring really good. Got to hear the heartbeat, which getting to hear the heartbeat is it's amazing. It is so awesome. His heartbeat is at 155, nice and strong. And I don't know if it's just because I only at this point get to hear his heartbeat about once a month or what, but it's just something amazing about getting to hear his heartbeat. Even though I get to feel him move and kick every day, which is also awesome, getting to hear the heartbeat is just, I don't know. It just does something for me. It's amazing. But yeah, everything's healthy and he's measuring right on track. I have another appointment at the end of May. And then after that, I think I'll be going to like a weekly appointment or maybe a bi-weekly appointment. And I'm not sure if I'm getting a third ultrasound or not. I think that's how that works. I think you have your dating ultrasound, which lets you know how far along you are, which I've had that at like 12 weeks. Then you get a anatomy scan, which lets you know what the gender is. That's around 20 weeks. Had that. So I think you get one more ultrasound before the birth, but I could be wrong. So I guess we'll find out. I'll probably talk about that at my next appointment. But everything went really well, and I also had to take my glucose test. So a little bit of a story time, but the glucose test is to test for gestational diabetes. I believe that's a test everybody has to take, and I guess when you get gestational diabetes, it's not necessarily something that's permanent. It just lasts you through your pregnancy. So if that's a question anybody would have, I do believe if you do end up getting gestational diabetes that it's not necessarily a permanent thing. And good news, they told me that no news is good news. And well, it's Friday now. I have my test on Wednesday and I have not been contacted by the doctor's office at all. So I'm assuming that I don't have it, which is awesome. Was a little bit nervous just because I am plus size, but I hadn't been showing any signs of diabetes. My grandmother has diabetes, and I kind of know some of the signs to look for. Yeah, I haven't really had anything that would make me necessarily think I could have the gestational diabetes, but you know how you kind of work yourself up when you have to have a big test or something. You know, you can kind of freak yourself out a little bit, or at least I do that. But anyways, a little bit of the story. So you have like 5 minutes to drink this glucose drink, and I was given the orange flavored one. I've heard some horror stories about people taking this drink and it being so hard to get down. It's so sugary sweet, makes them sick, makes them throw up, like whole 9 yards. Well, mine was so cold that I could hardly taste it. I got mine down in about 3 minutes. My goal was to chug it, kind of like a shot. And the drink itself wasn't very big. I don't know, probably something like that. It was a very small drink, kind of like a mini water bottle. My whole plan going into this was just to chug it, but I couldn't because it was so cold. It kept like giving me a migraine, so I would suck down as much as I could, and then I'd have to like stop and breathe. And thankfully my mom taught me this trick on how to like get rid of freeze brain. It was a brain freeze. I always feel like I mix those up. Anyways, if you're starting to get a brain freeze, you just stick the back of your tongue press it up against the roof of your mouth, and it'll make it go away. So I had to like chug as much as I could and then stop and do that, and then chug more and then stop and do that, because it was so frigid cold. It was so cold. I could hardly taste it, and I could hardly get it down because of how cold it was. I had to like stop, and because I kept getting like, you know, the brain freeze coming on right in the front of my head. But I got it down in like 3 minutes, and then like an hour after that, I was supposed to go get my blood drawn. And finished up my appointment, whatever, and then they were like, head down to registration, because at the hospital I'm at, the OBGYN office and the birthing center is all right there at the hospital. So I'm on the upper level having my doctor's appointment. They gave me the drink right at the beginning of my doctor's appointment, and they get me out, and I've got like maybe 20 minutes to get down to registration and get my blood drawn. And they're like, when you go into registration, let them know you are here for a timed test, and they will push you through the line faster. Well, I get down to registration, and there's an older gentleman there who is handing out the tickets for the number. They make you take a number and sit down, and they call your number, and then you go to the registration, and like they take care of all your paperwork for billing and stuff, and then they send you over to have your blood drawn. Well, and kudos to my hospital for keeping this job available for this older gentleman, because this guy, he looked mid-80s, early 90s. Like, he looked old. And I've seen him there on several different occasions. I knew he worked there. But when I first walked in, I went up to him and I'm like, hi, I was told I'm supposed to tell you that I'm here for a timed glucose test. You know, I'm supposed to get pushed through sooner because I have to get this taken care of. And he just looks at me like I'm stupid, hands me a number, and tells me to go sit down. And I'm like, okay then. Thankfully, it didn't take too long to get through registration. I did have to wait for about 5 or so minutes before I made it to registration. And the lady, of course, I told her, and she got right on it and hurried me through registration really quickly and got me over to get my blood drawn. I ended up being like 5 minutes past the time I was supposed to get my blood drawn. Because I think, again, timetables aren't super necessary here, but my appointment was at 11, but I got there early at like 10:30, and I think they got me in, and I think I had my drink at 10:45, and I should have had my blood drawn at 11:45, but I didn't get it drawn until 11:50 or 11:55 because I had to wait at registration, because this old guy apparently like didn't have a clue what was going on. Which again, like, I don't want to be too hard on him because he is so old, but when you're dealing with a hospital and you have people coming in for time tests, I mean, these time glucose tests are not just for diabetic pregnant women or anything like that. It's like, I'm pretty sure this is the drink anybody has to take if they're testing for diabetes. It's to see how well your body processes blood sugar. And if you fail this test, then you have to go in for a 3-hour glucose test, which doesn't sound like much fun at all to me. So, and I'm sure there are other blood works people have to be done that are time sensitive. And it was just a little bit frustrating because this guy just seemed clueless, like I was aggravating him, the fact that I told him I was on a time test. He just seemed so annoyed by it. But there wasn't a lot I could do. I mean, I had to go through registration before I could go over to the labs to get my blood drawn. You have to get like an armband and like all this other stuff. I had to get the registration. And I wasn't going to be rude and like go up to one of the registry people because they were all busy. And one of the ladies, like one of the patients checking in, she seemed nuts. She was with her daughter and she kept like snapping at her daughter and being like really rude. Like her daughter was laughing about something and then mom was like, oh, you think that's funny? And like jumped all over her. Like, I don't know what was being said exactly before that because I wasn't paying attention. I just like, I caught that tail end of it. But I was like, I want to stay away from that. That's like a bucket of crazy right there. And then the other people, I don't know, I didn't want to get all involved in it. But yeah, this older gentleman just seemed relatively aggravated, the fact that I was on a time test, which kind of stressed me out because I was like, you know, I really wanted to get this taken care of. I didn't want to risk failing my blood test. And when I went in to get my blood work done after I finally got, I don't know why I'm pointing at my arm, like you can see it, but when I finally got the registration and got over to the labs, I walked up to the lady at the window and I'm like, hi, I'm here for a timed glucose test, da da da. And she's like, okay, well, what time are you supposed to get your blood drawn? And I was like, 11:45, and she turns out the clock and it's like 11:50 or 11:55. And she was pretty flustered. Like, she turned around and got me in really quickly and she seemed kind of aggravated. And I was like, I'm sorry I'm late, but the guy at registration made me sit there and wait. He made me take a number. He wouldn't, you know, I was told to tell them that I had a time test so that they pushed me through, but he didn't. And she seemed to kind of understand, so I get the feeling this isn't the first time that's happened. So hopefully maybe she'll talk to somebody higher up and they can talk to him and be like, You know, there's some time sensitive tests, and when somebody comes in and says they have a time sensitive test, you need to push them through. But thankfully, you know, I asked her, she was like, I asked her, is it going to be a problem that I'm 5 minutes late? And she goes, well, it's not great, but we have a little bit of a window, you'll be okay. So I'm guessing everything turned out okay, because like I said, haven't gotten a phone call from the doctor's office, and doctor's office said no news is good news. So I'm guessing I passed. But let's go ahead and talk about the few things that have been going on this past week that is pregnancy related. Bring up my notes here. Okay, so something that I've noticed happening quite a lot, and this has been going on since my first trimester, but I don't think that I've ever addressed it. And that's that I've been developing quite a few skin tags. Now, skin tags, and for anybody out there who just doesn't know what a skin tag is, it's one of those little moles that like they hang. And I don't have any that's like super visible without taking my clothes off. I've got a couple on my neck, but they're so freaking tiny you're not even gonna be able to see them. Skin tags run in my dad's side of the family. They're not a huge surprise that I'm getting them. Most people on my dad's side of the family, I don't think really start getting them until like around their 40s or so. But I have heard that it is common to develop skin tags during pregnancy. Now, some sources I've looked into said that after you're done being pregnant, they'll just fall off and go away. I was talking to my dad about that, and he's like, I've never experienced one just falling off and going away. He's like, I've always had to have them removed. Now, prior to getting pregnant, I have had one removed that I had developed on my neck. And I believe skin tags can happen from having skin rubbed together. I've actually got one right here right now where my necklace sits, but it's, like I said, it's so tiny you guys would never be able to see it, so I'm not really gonna do a close-up because you probably wouldn't even know what you're looking at. But I had another one on my neck somewhere that I had removed once, and it didn't hurt too bad to have removed, but now I'm developing quite a few during my pregnancy. I have one under my armpit, several on my lady parts, and one more on my neck. So I'm gonna have to look into getting those removed, but I've kind of been putting it off just because I'd rather get it all done at once and just get it over with than to like constantly be making appointments to have skin tags removed. But I hear that's common during pregnancy, and that's why I decided to go ahead and talk about it here in my pregnancy update, because I think if you're thinking about getting pregnant, maybe it's something worth thinking about, keeping in mind, being aware of. And if you are pregnant and you're noticing skin tags, and know that it's common to get them when you're pregnant, and it's okay. And getting them removed isn't too horrible. So next one on the list of things to talk about is being short of breath. And I asked my doctor about this because I am an asthmatic, and I was like, is it okay to use my inhaler? And she's like, yeah, it's totally cool to use your inhaler if you need it. Just make sure it's asthma related and not due to being pregnant, because when you're pregnant, you know, your organs get all pushed around, things change, it gets really hard to bend over, you get winded really quickly, and you can become short of breath. So personally, I'm finding it really hard to determine whether it's an asthma-related shortness of breath or if it's a pregnancy-related shortness of breath. But it is something that's happening quite frequently. It happens probably a couple of times a day. Of course, mine is correlating with allergy season, so, you know, just, you know, makes it so much easier to know exactly what's going on with my body. But I do have the okay to use my inhaler, which is good. So far, I haven't used it. It's just, I don't know. Medications during pregnancy make me nervous. Now, I've been taking my prenatals. I know those are good for the baby, but anything else just kind of scares me. And inhalers have steroids in them that helps with the chest muscles. And just, I don't know, putting steroids in my body, even though it's for my lungs, it just makes me nervous going to the baby. It really does. Same with any other kind of medication. I mean, even when I was having the severe headaches and migraines during my second trimester, which, by the way, first week of the third trimester, according to my baby app, so, you know, almost there. But anyways, during my second trimester, if you missed that video, I was having severe headaches, and I was cleared by my doctor to take some medication for it, but it still just made me nervous. So I would just rather drink water and lay down in a dark room than take medication. And the only medication I've taken so far during my pregnancy was some antibiotics because I got extremely sick and I'd been exposed to whooping cough. So I kind of had to take the antibiotics. But other than that, during my first trimester, I haven't taken any other kind of medication other than my prenatal vitamins. And I'm just kind of afraid to. So if I start feeling short of breath, I sit down, I relax, I'll put my hands above my head, I'll do some deep breathing. So far I haven't had like a full-blown asthma attack, and if that was to happen, I would most definitely take my inhaler. But so far, as long as it's something that I can take care of naturally, I'm avoiding using any kind of medication or my inhaler for as long as I possibly can. That being said, if you're pregnant and an asthmatic, don't take my word for being okay for you to use your inhaler. Check with your doctor before you just do it. Just, you know, to be on the safe side. Everybody's different. Everybody's pregnancy is different. You know, if you're a high-risk pregnancy, which I'm not, but if you are, maybe using an inhaler would have some different effects. I don't really know. So check with your doctor before you use your inhaler if you're pregnant or if you're planning to get pregnant. Ask them, make sure it's okay. So 2 more things to talk about. One more like blah thing would be it's getting really hard to sleep on my back. I have not been able to sleep on my stomach since my first trimester. We're talking like barely a couple weeks into it, and then all of a sudden I couldn't sleep on my stomach anymore. So I've been between my right and my left side and my back that I've been able to sleep on. But now it's getting hard to sleep on my back because I'm having problems breathing, which I've heard that happens as you get further along in your pregnancy, that it's not good to sleep on your back because you don't get as much air, which is bad for the baby. Though my doctor hasn't addressed that or said anything about it. She hasn't told me that I can't sleep on my back. I have heard that it's best if you sleep on your left side. I'm not entirely sure what the reasoning is on that. But personally, I think that if I'm comfortable, that it's probably okay. So right now I'm kind of down to sleeping on my left or my right side. Can't really sleep on my back anymore, which kind of sucks, but I guess it's all part of the process. So one more thing to talk about, which is kind of cool, is that I seen a movement on the outside of my shirt. It was freaking awesome. I've been feeling movements for a long time. It's been movements that I've been able to feel on the outside. My husband has been able to feel him move a few times, but this is the first time that I was like looking at my belly and I seen movement. Now I almost missed it. It was really quick, and I did have a hoodie on, so it's not like I could tell if it was like a foot or a hand or anything like that. But I just seen my shirt bubble up and go back down, and it was so neat. And then I spent like the next 30 minutes like staring at my belly and poking and prodding, and of course the little booger wouldn't move at all. So yeah, it's like 30 minutes of my life I can't get back. But so I totally forgot to show you guys my belly. And I did change my shirt into a purple top because I wanted something a little bit different for my thumbnail. I feel like I have so many thumbnails with that pink top on, so I decided to change it. But I'll go ahead and show you guys my belly since I totally spaced it. And at 28 weeks, that's what my belly's looking like. I've definitely officially popped out. Definitely looking pregnant. And it's hard most of the time too, but it's supposed to be. So we'll see how much bigger it gets between now and whenever he shows up. But yeah, that's what my belly's looking like. So we're gonna go ahead and end things here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.